Viewer discretion is advised. Dickie ventured into the woods, as he was a participant in a game of truth or dare with his hiker buddies. He opted for a dare, and they dared him to go into the woods and bring back something scary, like a werewolf or ghosts, they added, sarcastically. And Dickie had always yearned for a chance to show off his bravado, mostly to impress Jenny, one of the hikers. The woods got denser as Dickie ventured deeper. His flashlight, although bright, illuminated nothing ahead of him. And sure enough, he tripped. He felt something was grabbing his ankle. He immediately grabbed the light, and chills ran down his spine as the flashlight shone on a set of bones, bony white human hands poking out of the ground. Horrified, he scrambled himself up and tried to run away, but then an idea struck him. I didn't bump into the skeleton for nothing. I'll take it back as proof of my bravery and prove them wrong. And with that, he started to dig. The bones were being revealed more and more as he dug. Soon, the skeleton was fully dug out. It was intact, and none of the bones were disintegrated. Without any delay, Dickie grabbed both hands of the skeleton and carried it on his back. After walking a few steps, he felt something grabbing his throat. And just when he tried to understand what was going on, it was too late. The skeleton that he had piggybacked was not dead. He tried to free himself from its strong clutches, but he couldn't. The skeleton's strength was stronger than that of Dickie's, and its squeeze on his throat was getting tighter by the seconds. Eventually, Dickie ceased to struggle and suffocated to his death. He fell lifelessly, and the skeleton began to tear an opening on his body. It pulled out the bones, then squeezed itself into Dickie's skin and flesh. Back at the campsite, Dickie's buddies were chatting gleefully around the campfire. They saw the return of Dickie, and one of the hikers, Ripley, rose up. "Took you long enough, huh? I see you didn't bring anything back with you." But Dickie, or what he was now, only stared at them blankly. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you a SCP Foundation Euclid class object, SCP-3114. SCP-3114, also known as Wouldn't It Be Chilly, is an animate human skeleton. Although it has no articulation or connective tissue, its individual bones remain intact as they would in a human body. Research showed that individual bones can be pulled out of position, but quickly return to their correct position when there is no longer an external force acting on them. Though it is made of similar minerals as human bone, it is stronger and requires more than 3 times as much force to break, and the anomalous feature extends to the broken bone mending on its own. Regarding its ability to move, there is no current explanation. However, the observed range of motion in its joints is similar to a healthy adult female's. It is much stronger than a human and can lift at least 250 kilograms with one arm alone. Its maximum observed foot speed is 60 kilometers an hour. 3114 has an apparent field of view similar to a human's and reacts to visual stimuli. It also responds to touch. However, it does not react to sound or smell. After recovering 3114, it has proven to be extremely aggressive and would immediately attempt to attack any time it sees a human or other biological humanoid entities. When it sees a potential target, 3114 will approach the target with the quickest route it can, only avoiding obstacles it cannot push through. Once it reaches the target, it will latch on with its hands around the throat and begin squeezing it, asphyxiating the target. Once the target stops moving, it will begin to tear the body open grotesquely and pull out its bones over the course of several hours. Once the whole skeleton is removed, it will attempt to pull the remaining flesh over itself. Once the body is no longer in one large piece, it loses interest in it. A series of conducted experiments showed varied results of 3114's reaction to different entities. For the first 2 experiments, the results came out the same. Both the D-class personnel and a female gorilla were placed in the vicinity of 3114. Both subjects tried to escape, and even though the gorilla was able to break 3114's left ulna, none of them survived and was asphyxiated. Their flesh was torn open and bones removed. However, upon discovering that the victim's body was not intact, 3114 placed the subject remains in a corner along with several sticks and a cardboard box on top of the subject, as though burying him. 3114 seemed quite compassionate and considerate to the other two subjects, where one was a border collie and the other was a human skeleton model. For the dog, 3114 approached and examined the subject cautiously with its fingers and was surprised when the dog licked it. It played with the dog for 2 hours and was visibly excited in its presence. It wrestled with the dog without harming it and threw sticks for it. The subject was then removed from the enclosure without incident. 3114 stood at the exit for several hours after the subject's removal and struck the walls repeatedly, as if 3114 was missing its presence. For the skeleton model, 3114 approached it immediately but did not attack. Instead, it examined the subject by prodding it. When this elicited no response, it ran its hand along the top of the subject's head. Since the subject was a skeleton itself and no skin was there to tear, it carried it back to its enclosure and cradled it for several hours. It then put the subject in the same position it takes during sleep periods. A different approach was made by 3114 when a male human cadaver 1 hour after death was placed in the enclosure. 3114 proceeded with its process and was able to keep the body intact while it placed itself inside. It walked around its enclosure for an hour while wearing the subject. The only exception in this experiment was another D-Class personnel that was placed in the enclosure. When 3114 approached, he attempted to escape. 3114 grabbed him, but only gently. It continued to try interacting with him, taking his hand and placing it on its face, trying to mimic his movements, and embracing him. After 3 hours, the D-Class was removed safely from the enclosure. Lastly, when no target is present, 3114 is fairly docile. It explores its enclosure but does not attempt to escape. When the lights are turned out for the night, it lays down and becomes motionless. Though it resembles sleep, it is still capable of responding to visual stimuli. As for its motives for wearing the skins of its victims, researchers think of it as a way of coping with certain longings. When Dickie, or rather 3114 in Dickie's skin, moved closer to the group leader Tom noticed something was off in Dickie's demeanors. His movements were stiff, his mouth agape, and what happened to his eyes? But he brushed it off as him being tired from his little adventure in the woods. It ignored Ripley and walked past him to settle down around the campfire, next to Jenny. She asked if he had brought anything scary back to show them, but she got no response in return. 3114 only stared blankly into the fire. They continued their merriments around the fire, but as time went on, they noticed the atmosphere was off. Dickie, the usual chatterbox in the group, had remained silent ever since his return from the woods. Tom whispered to Dickie, "Hey man, you all right? You're awfully quiet." "What the?" He found a gruesome tear in the nape of Dickie's skin. It appeared that it ran all the way down. He pulled Ripley aside and whispered, "Hey, something's not right with Dickie." "Yeah, I figured. He's so damn quiet ever since he came back. What's wrong with him?" They both looked at their friend, who was just sitting and staring into the fire. Jenny was starting to feel uneasy. "There's a scar or something behind his neck. Think we should ask him?" Without saying anything, Ripley quickly moved behind it and pulled up Dickie's shirt, revealing a tear that ran from the neck to waist. A white set of skeleton could be seen within Dickie's pink flesh. It was bared for everyone around to see. This isn't Dickie!" 3114 stood up abruptly, and it tore Dickie's skin further. It got loose and fell off 3114, revealing a skeleton figure stained in Dickie's blood. Horrified, the hikers ran, but unfortunately for Jenny, she tripped and twisted her ankle. 3114 moved towards her. She screamed for help, but her friends did not come back as 3114 proceeded to repeat what it did to Dickie on Jenny. Hours later, 3114, now in Jenny's skin, sat around the campfire, basking in its warmth in the companies of Jenny's skeleton. Many researchers observed 3114's attempt to wear the skin of its victim as a way to cope with the longing of skin and company that had been undergoing for an unknown period of time. After all, doesn't it get chilly sometimes for skeletons too? Remember to check out my new animation channel, TheRubber Talks, where I share my life story, thoughts, and opinions. Just click on the link in the description to enter the Rubber's world. Before we end this video, we are proud to present these incredibly sweet pieces of fan art. A big thank you to all of you. You can now send us your fan art, and we will be more than happy to show off your best art piece in our next video. Check out our description below on how to submit. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Which SCP do you want to see in the next video, and why it is interesting? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your friends if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.